Have you noticed something strange? Just a few weeks ago, almost nobody outside the AI world was talking about Kimi K3. But today, developers are testing it. AI engineers are talking about it. Tech YouTubers can't stop mentioning it. And suddenly, a Chinese AI model is competing for attention with some of the biggest names in artificial intelligence. So, what changed? Did China secretly build the world's smartest AI? Or is there another reason why everyone is suddenly talking about Kimi K3? Because here's the weird part. If you open ChatGPT, it's free. Claude also has a free version. Gemini, free too. So if all of them are already free, then why is Kimi K3 creating so much hype? That's the question almost everyone is asking. And surprisingly, most people are looking in the wrong direction because they think the hype is about benchmarks. It's not, at least, not completely. In fact, if you only look at benchmark scores, you'll completely miss the real story. And that story could completely change how AI is built over the next few years. Think about this. Imagine tomorrow, someone releases a new smartphone. It gets a slightly better camera than the iPhone. Would the entire tech industry panic? Probably not. A better camera alone isn't enough to change an industry. So why did Kimi K3 get everyone's attention? The answer isn't just that it's powerful. The answer is how it's being released, who can use it, and what that could mean for the future of AI. And once you understand that, you'll realize this story was never just about one AI model. It might be the beginning of something much bigger. Let's go back for a second. For the last few years, the AI race looked pretty simple. The biggest companies kept building bigger and better models. Every new release was more powerful. But there was one catch. The smartest AI models were also becoming more expensive. If you only wanted to ask a few questions, the free versions were perfectly fine. Need help writing an email, summarizing a document, asking random questions? No problem. But something changed. The moment people stopped using AI for fun and started using it to do real work, that's where the entire game changed. And that's exactly where Kimi K3 enters the story. Here's the biggest misunderstanding about Kimi K3. Whenever people hear someone say, China just released another AI model, the first reaction is usually, so what? We already have ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and they're all free to use anyway. And honestly, that's a fair question. Because if you're only using AI to ask questions, write emails, translate text, or generate a few images, then yes, the free versions of today's AI models are already incredibly good. For millions of people, that's more than enough. So if that's true, why are developers, startups, and AI engineers suddenly paying so much attention to Kimi K3? Because they're not asking AI to write an email, they're asking AI to build products. And those are two completely different worlds. Imagine you're opening a small coffee shop. You need a calculator, a notebook, and maybe a laptop. That's enough. But now imagine you're building an entire airport. Suddenly, the tools you used before aren't enough anymore. You need heavy machinery, specialized engineers, massive infrastructure. AI works the same way. For simple tasks, almost any modern AI model can help. But once you start building real software, creating AI agents, managing thousands of lines of code, or running AI inside a real business, everything changes. Suddenly, speed matters. Reliability matters. Cost matters. And that's where companies start paying serious money. Here's something most people don't realize. The biggest AI companies don't make most of their money from someone asking, write me a birthday message. Their biggest customers are businesses. Startups, software companies, developers. People who call these models thousands, sometimes millions of times every single day through APIs. Now imagine paying for that. Every single request, every single day, every single month. The bill grows very quickly. And that's exactly why the AI industry has been searching for something different. Not just another chatbot, but a model powerful enough for serious work, without forcing everyone into expensive closed ecosystems. And this is where Kimi 3 starts becoming much more interesting than it first appears. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because Kimi K3 didn't become famous simply because it was cheaper. If that were true, nobody would be talking about it today. The real reason is much more surprising. When researchers started testing it, the benchmark results caught everyone's attention. And some of those results made Silicon Valley stop and take a closer look. But were those benchmark scores really enough to create all this hype? Not quite, because what happened next was even more important. Here's where the entire story changes. At first, people thought Kimi K3 was making headlines because it was another powerful AI model from China. But when researchers and developers started running real benchmarks, they discovered something unexpected. Kimi K3 wasn't just keeping up with some of the world's best AI models. In several coding evaluations, especially those focused on real software development and front-end programming, it was performing at a level that forced people to pay attention. And that's when the internet started asking, wait, how did China do this? Because just a few years ago, most people believed the AI race had already been decided. The United States had OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Meta. They had the biggest investments, the biggest AI chips, the biggest cloud infrastructure. So naturally, people assumed the next generation of AI would also come from the same companies. But then Chinese AI companies started releasing one powerful model after another: DeepSeek, Qwen, Minimax, and now Kimi K3. Suddenly, this didn't look like one lucky breakthrough anymore. It looked like a pattern, and that's exactly why Kimi K3 became such a big story. Not because it was simply another chatbot, but because it proved that China's AI ecosystem was improving much faster than many people expected. But here's something even more interesting. If you read the headlines, most of them focus on benchmark scores. Who beat who ranked first, who scored higher. But here's the truth. Benchmarks alone don't make developers switch to a new AI model. Because developers care about something much bigger, they ask questions like, can this AI actually build my application? Can I trust it to write production-level code? Can I afford to use it every single day? Can my company build products around it without spending a fortune? Those are the questions that really matter. And this is where Kimi K3 started separating itself from many other AI models. Because it wasn't trying to win attention with flashy marketing. It was trying to solve a problem that developers have been dealing with for years. How do you get frontier-level AI capabilities without frontier-level costs? And that question may be one of the biggest reasons everyone is suddenly talking about China's Kimi K3. But then, something happened that made the story even bigger. Because people stopped asking, is Kimi K3 good? And started asking, what does Kimi K3 mean for the future of AI? And the answer to that question could completely change the way AI is built over the next decade. So, what exactly makes Kimi K3 different? The answer isn't simply that it's free, because, as we mentioned earlier, ChatGPT has a free version, Claude has a free version, Gemini has one too. So clearly, being free isn't enough to create this much excitement. The real difference is something that most people outside the AI industry never think about, and it's called open-weight AI. Now, before you click away because that sounds technical, let's make it incredibly simple. Imagine two professional chefs. Both of them can cook an incredible meal for you. The first chef says, you can come to my restaurant anytime. I'll cook whatever you want, but you'll never be allowed inside my kitchen. That's how most closed AI models work. You can use them, but you never get access to what's happening behind the scenes. Now imagine a second chef. He says, not only can you eat the food, I'll also show you exactly how I made it. You can open your own restaurant, improve the recipe, change the ingredients, or create something completely new. That's much closer to what open-weight AI offers developers. And that's why Kimi K3 became such a big deal. Because for developers, they're not just looking for an AI that answers questions. They're looking for an AI they can build businesses around. That's a completely different goal. Think about a startup building the next generation of AI tools. Would they rather depend entirely on someone else's platform, where pricing, limits, and features can change overnight? Or would they rather have much more control over the technology they're building on? For many companies, the answer is obvious. More control means more flexibility. More flexibility often means faster innovation. And that's exactly why open-weight models have become one of the biggest conversations in artificial intelligence. Not because they're automatically better than closed models, but because they give developers options. Here's another reason Kimi K3 attracted so much attention. For years, there was a common belief inside the AI industry. If you wanted frontier-level performance, you had to accept frontier-level costs. In other words, the smarter the model, the more expensive it would become. Kimi K3 challenged that assumption. It suggested that powerful AI doesn't always have to come with the same business model everyone had started to accept. And once that idea entered the conversation, people stopped talking only about Kimi K3. They started talking about the future of AI itself. Because if one company can do this, who might be next? And that's a question the entire AI industry is now paying attention to. But here's the question almost nobody is asking. If Kimi K3 is so good, why didn't something like this happen years ago? Why now? Because the AI industry has quietly gone through a major shift. Just a few years ago, building a frontier AI model required an unbelievable amount of money. Only a handful of companies on Earth had enough computing power, enough engineers, and enough funding to even attempt it. That created a huge gap. On one side, a few companies controlled the world's most powerful AI. On the other side, everyone else had to build products on top of those companies' models. For a long time, that looked like the future of AI. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of trying to copy Silicon Valley's business model, several Chinese AI companies started following a different strategy. Rather than asking, how do we sell the most expensive AI? They started asking, how do we get powerful AI into the hands of more developers? That difference may sound small, but it completely changes the direction of innovation. Think about smartphones for a moment. Imagine if only one company in the world was allowed to manufacture smartphones. Innovation would slow down, prices would stay high, and everyone would have to play by the same company's rules. Now imagine dozens of companies competing. Some make better cameras, some build better batteries, some focus on gaming, others focus on affordability. Competition explodes, innovation speeds up, and customers benefit. That's very similar to what's happening in AI today. The more capable models that become available, the faster the entire ecosystem moves forward. And that's one of the biggest reasons Kimi K3 matters. Not because it ends the AI race, but because it makes that race much more competitive. Now here's where many people get confused. They hear phrases like open weight, open source, free AI, and they assume all of those mean exactly the same thing. They don't. They're completely different ideas. A chatbot can be free to use, while still keeping its core technology completely closed. On the other hand, a model can give developers access to its weights, allowing them to run it on their own infrastructure, fine-tune it for specific tasks, or integrate it into their own products, provided they have the necessary hardware and follow the model's license. That's why developers became so interested in Kimi K3. They weren't simply looking for another chatbot. They were looking at the possibilities. What could we build with this? What products become possible now? What businesses could exist tomorrow that weren't practical yesterday? Those are the questions driving the excitement. Not, can it write me a better email? And this is where the story becomes much bigger than Kimi K3, because this isn't really a battle between one AI model and another. It's a battle between two different ways of thinking. One approach says, build the smartest model, keep complete control over it, and charge companies to access it. The other approach says, build an extremely capable model, make it far more accessible to developers, and let thousands of people build on top of it. Neither strategy is guaranteed to win. In fact, the AI industry is still trying to figure that out. But one thing is already clear. The conversation has changed. Just a year ago, most people were asking, which company has the smartest AI? Today, more and more people are asking, which company has the smartest strategy? And that's a very different question, because sometimes the company that changes the rules ends up changing the entire industry. But before you think this means the AI race is over, it isn't, not even close. OpenAI isn't standing still. Google isn't standing still. Anthropic isn't standing still. Every major AI company is moving faster than ever. And that's exactly why Kimi K3 is such an important story. Because it proves something many people thought wasn't possible. A few years ago, most people believed only a handful of companies could build AI models capable of competing at the highest level. Today, that assumption is starting to disappear. And whenever an industry reaches that point, innovation usually accelerates, competition becomes tougher, and users often benefit the most. But here's the biggest lesson from this entire story. People think Kimi K3 became famous because it's Chinese. Others think it became famous because it's free. Some believe it's all about benchmark scores. The truth is that none of those explanations tell the whole story. Kimi K3 became a global topic because it arrived at exactly the right moment. A moment when developers were looking for more capable models, businesses were looking for lower costs, and the AI industry was beginning to question whether the future should belong only to closed models. That's why Kimi K3 didn't just launch, it started a conversation. A conversation about what the next generation of AI should look like. Should the world's most powerful AI stay behind closed doors? Or should more developers be able to build with frontier-level models? That debate is only getting started. And maybe that's the biggest reason everyone is suddenly talking about China's Kimi K3, because this story was never really about one company. It was never just about one benchmark. And it definitely wasn't just about one chatbot. It's about a shift that's happening across the entire AI industry. The gap between closed models and open weight models is getting smaller. More companies are entering the race. More developers have access to powerful tools. And the speed of innovation is increasing faster than almost anyone expected. No one knows who will ultimately win this AI race. It could be OpenAI, it could be Google, it could be Anthropic, or perhaps the next breakthrough will come from a company that hardly anyone is talking about today. Because if the last few years have taught us anything, it's that the AI world can change almost overnight. And Kimi K3 may be one of the clearest examples of that. So maybe the real question isn't, why is everyone suddenly talking about China's Kimi K3? Maybe the better question is, who's going to be the next company that surprises the world? Because if there's one thing we've learned from this AI race, it's that the next breakthrough can come from anywhere. And when it does, we'll be here to break it down. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. Do you think open-weight AI is the future, or will closed AI models continue to dominate? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.